I think I get cut off if I start as soon as it starts. Once it says you're live, maybe that's when I have to start. We'll see. Because it says it's 19 seconds already, but we'll see. Anyway, hello, hello. It's Nancy today. How's everyone? I wanna share with you something I have written down. This is the song I've written. Maybe I'll just sing the song for you. Wisdom is the consolation prize for messing up. Wisdom is the consolation prize for messing up. Oh, you can't create anything at all without making a mess. You can't create anything at all without making a mess. Wisdom is the consolation prize for messing up. Wisdom is the consolation prize for messing up. My mind is a factory and not a warehouse. My mind's a factory and not a warehouse. There's nothing better than a new idea. There's nothing better than a new idea. Oh, wisdom is the consolation prize for messing up. Wisdom is the consolation prize for messing up. The reason for time is so everything doesn't happen at once. The reason for time is so everything doesn't happen at once. Oh, wisdom is the consolation prize for messing up. Wisdom is the consolation prize for messing up. There's my new song. I wrote the words. Some of them I took from people like Einstein. His said, "My mind is a factory, not a warehouse." But the rest is from me. And Lori wrote the music. So, there's my song. Now, I will turn to other matters. So, today we went back to the camp. We have a break in our babysitting. Melrose 795 says, "So true, Nancy. Wisdom is definitely that." And Susan says, "That's a really good song." I think it's time to publish it. I think I'm gonna figure it out and get it out there. Probably just on Facebook videos and different things like that. But I think it's a really good song. It'll add to the songs of the day. Anyway, so today, as you know, thanks Susan, as you know, we had a family situation and we were needed at home to babysit. And so our mission was changed from serving at the camp to serving with our family. But now, today we had a break. It's Labor Day and Lida doesn't work, and so the children are not. Yes, Melrose says, "I must be getting wiser and wiser as I have made many mistakes in my life." It's true. It's true, and you're so much smarter for it, aren't you? You don't do stuff the same way as you did it when you were young, because you have wisdom. You already made those mistakes. No sense making them again. But we haven't finished. We still make mistakes. We still have to learn wisdom from the rest of the mistakes we're going to make. Anyway, so on to this other subject. So the children are starting school and summer is over and we don't have the children today. So this is our first opportunity to come back to the camp together with the trailer. There's the trailer, way back there. And to remove from the camp everything that we left there. There were 2 swings. There were things in the RV, not very many. The dishes needed to be washed. And there were pots and pans and one item of clothing and the vacuum cleaner and stuff like that. And then there was the screen tent and all of the 4 metal chairs. I also made many mistakes when younger, especially hello Melrose, that's what Susan says, Susan Ernst. Anyway, so we went to the camp, we went to the tool area, and I found my battery for my drill and the charger. And we also got the frozen food of ours out of the freezer. And we got, I emptied out the little shed where I had lots of birdhouse boards that were leftovers. And the orange chair that was under the veranda, under the awning at the RV. And also I cleaned up the little shower, the outdoor shower thing with 2 knobs and a little wand. And I washed, there was anyway, so we cleaned it all up and we packed everything up. And now we have finished. And when we got there, I wanted closure because we were sort of ripped away from it quickly. You know, we were needed to babysit our grandchildren. And Willem was doing it for a while, and I was at the camp, and then he was doing the camp and I was at home, and then it was too much for me at home. So I needed him to come back. The camp was too much, and the physically, and the children were too much. And I was quite torn up about having to stop our mission short. I really was. It was just tore me apart. I really wanted to be there doing that. It was something that was so important to me. But everybody was saying family first. The people at the camp, the people, the leaders, the groups that were there, everybody that I told my dilemma to, you know, that we were needed at home, but we were needed here, and this was our mission, and at one point I was needed in Connecticut, and so today was a time to go back and just remember all the wonderful times that we had over the summer, and to just get closure, to just remember in the location, walking the trails. And we sat by the beaver pond for a while, and I remembered all the wonderful experiences I had there, and the RV, and sitting beside the campfire. I sat by the campfire before I dismantled it all, and looking into the woods and remembering the view and walking in the view and all that we did in there, you know, making trails. And then when we packed everything up, then we sat by the beach. Our last thing was to get yes, I have 40 plus videos that I made at the camp. Yeah, so I can remember all those wonderful memories. So we sat there by the lake, and I wrote in my journal. And I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And out you go. And I re-experienced some of those wonderful moments that I had, and when they were girls having a group and they were discussing scriptures or, um, gospel things, and listening to them and participating a little bit, and all the things, the raking of the sand. Oh yes, and when I got lost, I really wasn't completely lost. It's just I couldn't figure out which way to go, where the road was. It was in the woods. It had been a sharp turn around a tree. And so I had gone straight from the tree, and I just could not find, it was very difficult to figure out where the trail had gone. But I couldn't drive off of the trail. I mean, I drove a few feet, like maybe 20 feet, and then I ended up in the middle of the forest and trees all around me, and this wasn't right. So I had to go back. Anyway, it was interesting. And I wanted to serve the Lord. That was the purpose of a service mission. And so, although the requirements of the mission of that location, the kind of people they needed were people that were really strong and in good health and had a lot of mechanical minds. So Willem was in really great shape, and I was mechanically minded, but it wasn't enough. I worked as hard as I could from the time I got up until late in the afternoon. And sometimes I would have to stop at noon or something, but often I would work on till about 2 or 3. And then I would go to the RV and just collapse. And sometimes we would make a campfire, but I did work with all my heart, might, mind, and soul. All of my strength. Children needed us. And then it was needed. I saw a lot of awesome animal things when I was there. I saw otters and beavers and the beaver lodge and the wood ducks from when they were just hatchlings. And the same with the geese. We were there in April, the end of April, which is before they had all mated and, done all that. It was just, had just arrived. Or at least they hadn't had their young yet. I made signs and I put them up, and I made birdhouses, and the girls made birdhouses, and I put them up, and there were a lot of bat boxes behind the hardware shed, so I asked someone to put them all up. So those are all up. Anyway, it was a wonderful experience, but it was so good to have closure today, to go and get everything, and I couldn't really close up the RV, like pack it up for winter time, because I'm not able to do that. Willem did do a lot of cleaning. Anyway, but it's not perfect. There's a plague of mice that have been in there the whole time. They were in the vents. So we tried our best to get rid of them and to clean up after them. Anyway, so maybe we'll be able to go back and help again and actually, like close down the awning and pull in the side and put the tarp over the top. I don't know what we'll be able to do, if we're able to do anything more. Anyway, but we've done this, and Now I think, as we have not been released yet, all those pesky mice, tisk, tisk, tisk. So now I think that, I mean, we've been serving our daughter and her children for the summer, babysitting. So our service has been very much appreciated. And now, as the children are going to be in school, but I'll be babysitting after school likely, at least that's the plan. Now it's time to look for other opportunities to serve. Perhaps there are places like the food bank, or there's a soup kitchen, and the soup kitchen is the table or something like that, and then there's a food bank, and then of course there's just the local, there's, I think on Facebook, the local village has a website where people talk about the goings-ons of the village, and I can get involved. I think there's a group in the village. There's a thrift store and just different places where I can give service. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and maybe Willem will do it with me. I'm not sure about all of these things. But that's the next focus. Also, I don't know if you're aware, but there's an Ojibwe. The Ojibwe Nation is there at Curve Lake near the camp. And for 40 years, I've had this book, which is the history of the first peoples of this continent, which they referred to as Turtle Island. And for this book, I've had it for 40 years, and I've always felt a burning desire and a prompting that I need to share this book with the people, the first peoples. And so I just went and left copies. I offered it. I told people what it was, that it was this ancient spiritual history of the first peoples of Turtle Island. And that's what they call North and South America's, North America's Turtle Island. And would they like a copy? Would they be interested in reading that? This is their history. And they're just coming out of this time of the terrible treatment of their ancestors, their children, their parents, and their grandparents. They've been in this residential schools where they've found there's been a mass graves outside where they just, anyway, it's been a horrible thing, for them to find all these mass graveyards, unmarked graves of their relatives who were stolen from them by the government and put in these residential schools and then mistreated and starved and beaten and killed. Anyway, and so they're reeling from this, and I thought that this is what I was sent here for, was to give them those copies. And although it would be better to go and give them to one person at a time, I don't have time. It couldn't be done right now. And while I was on the camp, I couldn't do it because I had to be on the camp. I was it was, wow, nice food bank for people to have. Good idea. Very nice. Anyway, so I left all these copies of the Book of Mormon there. The Book of Mormon is a history of the first people. Good, a bird like that. Would you like to see it? It might turn black. I'm not making the U4, so I left copies of the Book of Mormon for all these people, and two of the shopkeepers were really perusing it when I went back in to leave several more copies. And there are other places near home where I'm going to also give copies to, so that they can have their history. I think that they need their history. So that's what the Book of Mormon is. It's the spiritual history of the peoples of this continent. I wonder if that app is ready yet.